Welcome to episode 8.7 of the Grumpy Brothers podcast. I had a little trouble there with the 8.7,
Yeah.
Ted. Welcome to 8.7 of the Grumpy Brothers podcast. I am Chris Ludvigsen, joined by Ted. Say hey, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
Thank you to our listeners. Please subscribe and listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Odyssey. Also, please follow us here on millions.co. Tonight, Ted, we're going to wrap the NFL season with that compelling Super Bowl game last Sunday.
Yeah.
Had everybody else on the edge of the seats anyway. Then we're going to do a little Major League Baseball offseason moves, and we'll decide midstream if we're going to hold off NBA talk until this week or next week. But Ted, we could always talk about the scintillating All-Star game from the NBA that you know is going to be on tap this afternoon.
Whatever. Yeah. That ranks right up next to the Pro Bowl
Yes, exactly.
with Shedeur Sanders as one of your quarterbacks.
Yes.
And I think didn't Flacco go?
I lost track when I saw
Yeah.
Shedeur.
Yeah.
When I
Right.
saw Shedeur, I thought, okay,
It's time to wrap this thing up.
Yes. Yes. Other than the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star game, Ted, what's making you grumpy today?
So the other day, I sit down to do something right here, right in this fancy chair, the command center. And
I think I just come up with your birthday gift for a plaque, Ted.
the
Grumpy
command
Brothers
center.
Command Center.
Well, no, you're the command center. So, and then I hear this funny sound on one of the, and I was like, what? Something just popped. What? And I'm looking to see if I stand up to see if anything on me popped.
Which is always a possibility.
Distinct possibility, yeah. So I'm gonna show you a little bit. It's hard to show, but there's whatever. There's a little spring here, okay?
Yeah.
And a little button type thing here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And apparently they control the arms of this chair
Okay.
that can go up and down.
Okay.
And so now,
did you know that the arms went up and down?
yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the one that it popped off of still goes up and down, but it can only stay down. It can't stay up because it doesn't have this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a bit of an adventure trying to figure out how to put those things back together. I haven't gone to hammer and chisel quite yet because I'd like to keep the arm of the chair on. But you would think it would be fairly simple because it's just a spring, you put the spring back and then this other piece, but no, there's more to it than that. I'm struggling with, I can get the spring on, but I can't get the button to stay. If I can't get the button to stay, then the spring doesn't really work. And if I get the button onto the spring, then I can't make the springs. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma wrapped in a mystery.
Yeah.
So Dad, here's my first question.
Yeah.
Did you keep, and I'm gonna laugh as I say this, did you
Yeah.
keep the instructions on putting the chair together?
Oh no, this chair is like 15 years old, and this all came assembled.
Oh, okay. You went and paid the extra $50 to have it assembled.
No, I mean this little bit here was there was never any.
Okay.
That was never. I don't even know if I ever had to even put this chair other than screwing the bottom, the seat into the bottom. I don't think this chair really came unassembled.
As we've discussed previously, Ted, I have become a fan of call the guy.
Yeah.
Pay the
Well,
extra
there's
money.
no guy. There's no guy for this.
No, but in theory,
Yeah.
the whole idea of saving a little bit of money and then just working yourself up into a lather for 3 days.
Yeah.
I've just decided it's not worth it.
I'm not working myself up into a lather, but I'm like, this is frustrating because you would think it'd be it's only 2 little moving parts. You would think it would be fairly simple. But the other part of this is this chair is probably like 20 years old. So it might just be time to start thinking about a new chair.
So I can't remember if I ever told you this story. Back when we lived in the other house, we had our next door neighbors that we had a great relationship with. And they had 2 younger children than ours. And one Sunday, I was trying to install a dimmer switch for the dining room light.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was confused by the instructions called for a certain number of wires and a certain number of posts on the dimmer switch, and it wasn't matching up with what was coming.
Right.
And so the husband next door was very handy.
Yeah.
And he, someone's handy when they've got the immaculately designed tool row in the every tool perfectly placed in the garage. Right. Whenever I need something, it takes 20 minutes going out into the toolbox, throwing things everywhere to find the thing that you don't have.
Not this guy. No.
Right. Everything's perfect. So I called him and I said, hey, when you have time this afternoon, can you come over and take a look at this? And he said, yeah, sure. No problem. We're out right now. And I hear in the background his son, who at the time was 4 or 5 years old, something like that. And he says to him, Daddy, are you going to go help Mr. Lumpernickel?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And he said, because if you don't, he might electrocute himself.
Well, he got the name wrong, but he got the actual end result of distinctly possible, right?
Yes, very much so.
If your dad doesn't get home soon, the Lumpernickel house is on fire. It's just a question of who gets there first, the guy or the fire department.
Yes, exactly.
See, you should have made 2 phone calls. Now listen, you talk to that guy, and then you call the fire department. Now look, in about an hour,
preemptive call.
In about an hour, you might want to send somebody by with a fire extinguisher and a note or a new smoke alarm. Just carry this around.
Can I have you on standby?
Yeah, right. Can we get a retainer? Yeah, that's be about right. Yeah.
There you go. Ted, I think it was your wife that noticed a Norwegian skier named Einar this week in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Einar, every time we have a discussion like this, Grandpa Einar is rolling around in his grave, thinking, how far did this fall from?
Well, yeah, but some of that's his fault because he wouldn't let us do anything but sand anything. We want to put up some brick, around over here, and we're going to repair. What can we do? Just go sand that piece of wood. It has nothing to do with brick. Just go sand the piece of wood. Stay out of the way. So if you don't get any assistance in that, any training, it's kind of hard to be faulted for that.
Do you remember that I built?
Well, by the way, did you? I don't know if you saw there's a guy, a Norwegian cross country skier that's won 4 gold medals already in this Olympics. Yeah, he's killing. Well, 2, I think 2 are on a relay, but still,
I did see something. They called him the Michael Phelps of the Winter Olympics, I think. So
yeah, that might be the same guy. Yeah.
So Ted, for my grump this week, I'm going to go to a topic that we've discussed ad nauseum previously, but I have to go with it because it irked me so much last night. The executive producer and I were out for a Valentine's Day dinner, and I splurged, decided to go to a pretty nice restaurant, and I dressed accordingly.
Yeah.
Dress shirt, blazer, slacks.
I already know. Go ahead.
Right. So we're standing in the lobby there. We got there a little early, so we had to wait for our reservation. And as I'm standing there, and then later I see someone else, I saw at least 2 men come in, and their dates were immaculately dressed.
Right. Yeah.
Fancy gowns, fancy hairdos, the shoes that I can't even figure out how they got on their feet or walk in. You know those shoes?
Okay.
You can picture them. So anyway,
yeah, I can sort of.
They're dressed to the nines, right?
Yeah.
And the husband, the man, has on his sneakers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now, the one guy had on a fancy pair of Air Jordan. You know how Air Jordan now come in 25 different colors and designs? And
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so they are. So he probably has, 10 pairs of Air Jordans to match whatever ensemble he's going with that day. And so this night he came up with the it was a yellow and brownish or dark brown black combination. And I'm sure he paid a lot of money for it. But at the end of the day, they're still sneakers, kids.
Yeah, not anymore. Not
So, Ted,
anymore.
I don't know if you were a fan of the show. I loved the show Ted Lasso.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it,
No.
Ted? Splurge for a month or two of Ted Lasso and um, uh, just watch it. In a week or two. There's only 3 seasons. It's fantastic. There's a scene, one of my favorites. If you look up on the internet, do Ted Lasso throwing dart scene.
Okay.
It epitomizes why that show was so great. But anyway, in the episode, in one of the seasons, the team has to attend a funeral. And one of the guys on the team says to all the guys, hey, we need to do this right. You need to dress accordingly. And then he looks at them and shakes his finger and says, no trainers, which I think means
No
sneakers.
sneakers in England. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So no trainers. So Ted, how about we actually act like an adult and put on adult shoes? Is it too much to ask? One night to go out to a nice restaurant? Is it too much?
Well, when you see mostly I guess it's mostly sports programming,
Mhm.
like ESPN, and everybody has, tennis shoes on with their suit. That's the new thing. I mean, that's the way. I saw one. I don't even remember what show it was, but it had to be like an ESPN or one of those kind of deals. Um, and so I'm used to people with suits and then their
Mm.
tennis shoes, but these guys were wearing white tennis shoes with
Yes,
their
with a
suit.
dark suit. Yes.
I mean, I'm not a fashion model or a fashion mogul or a fashion
Maven.
critic or anything like that. But that I was like, that looks all sorts of wrong. Yeah.
On every level, it's
Yeah,
wrong.
I mean, I don't even know how do you even get there? I mean, how do you? I don't know. I understand. I thought you were going to tell me that they were coming in with their hats on backwards.
No hats, no hats. This was a footwear situation. So.
But so I assume that these shoes were dark in color.
Well, they were primarily white, and like I say, if you know
Primarily
how
white.
you remember the original Air Jordans had like
Yeah.
little sections of red
Yeah.
over top
Yeah,
of the
right.
white. It's like that now, but they're different colors.
High tops?
Yes.
Were
Yes.
they high tops?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
No. That's not even the suit sneaker. Yeah, no, I mean the suit sneaker is the one that's white on the bottom and
Yes.
some sort of color.
No.
Yeah, that's well, whatever. I mean, I'm not one to talk a lot about that kind of stuff, but some point there used to be rules about, the establishment used to have no, go back and but they don't do that anymore because they want your money,
Everybody, you be you. All right,
Yeah.
Ted.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn. Here we go.
Yeah, there you
Ready?
go.
Here we go. Okay.
I got a great trivia.
King Ted comes in to proclaim the dress etiquette rules.
By the way, I have a great trivia question for you. We can do it some other time, but
let's do it after this one. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Kenneth Walker was a deserving Super Bowl MVP with 135 rush yards and 26 receiving yards. Totaled 161 of the Seahawks total 335 yards. Here are 2 Super Bowl MVP questions, Ted.
Uh-oh.
Prior to Walker, who was the last non-quarterback to win Super Bowl MVP?
Prior to Walker. I have no idea. But how about, since it worked last week, Julian Edelman?
Close. Ted, the last one was Cooper Kupp.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep,
I don't feel so bad about that answer.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, here's the next question, Ted.
Yeah.
Before Walker, who was the last running
back? Yeah.
To win the Super Bowl MVP?
I heard this the other day too, and I can't remember who it was. Marshawn Lynch.
No. Did he win? No, he must
No,
not
I'm
have.
just taking a guess.
No, okay, Ted. All the way back to 1988.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Terrell
Terrell Davis. Yeah, I heard that.
Davis.
Yeah.
Ted, listen to these stats. You remember he didn't even play one quarter because he had migraines. Like he didn't play the third quarter. Do you remember?
I don't, but yeah.
And the Packers actually stopped the run game for 15
one
minutes.
Quarter.
Yeah. And then he came back in. Ted, he carried 30 times for 157 yards, 3 touchdowns in the 31-24 win over my Packers. Ted, he was so good that Elway only had to throw for 123 yards in that game.
Wow.
My guy Brett Favre threw for 256, 3 touchdowns. You remember Dorsey Levens?
Yes, I do remember Dorsey.
He ran for 90 yards. So Favre threw for 256. Levens ran for 90, and the Packers still lost because Terrell Davis was undeniable in that game.
So if Dorsey Levens played long enough and had enough stats, he's the next Roger Craig, because he was kind of that way, right?
Yeah, but he was never as
celebrated.
And I don't think he was quite as. I think Craig, while he was not a burner, I think Craig had an extra gear than Dorsey Levens had.
I don't think Dorsey Levens played as long as.
Craig, and I don't think he could really make big plays, but he was an effective player. So, Ted, we have time. Go ahead and ask your trivia question.
We all know is baseball.
Okay.
We all know Joe DiMaggio has the 56-game hitting streak, longest at bats, right? Or longest hitting streak.
Yeah. What's
the longest on base?
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it's of the same era.
And I remember DiMaggio after he went hitless, then went like another 15 or 20 games after that. So if he'd gotten that one hit, it could have been like 75 games or something like that.
Yeah, it would have been. And he also had like a 60 or 70 game hitting streak in the minors.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay, Ted, it has to be
for the San Francisco Seals.
It has to be Williams. It has to be Ted Williams.
It is Ted Williams. Very good. Give yourself a ding, ding, ding.
Oh, hold on. I don't think about that very often. Hold on. Here we go.
Here are the relevant numbers. 84 games. July started on July 1st of 1949 and ended on September 27th of 1949. So basically, the second half of the whole season, he was on base at least
every
one
game.
394 plate appearances with 92 walks. So he had 302 at bats. He hit 371. On base percentage of .518.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
His 84 games, he hit 24 home runs and drove in 80 runs. We're done here. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good run.
Wow.
That's a pretty good second half of the season.
Wasn't he known for the guy who had like 20/10 vision?
Yeah. When he was, it was famously reported after when he went into the Air Force,
right?
To become a pilot,
right?
They reported him he had 20/10 vision.
That's the thing that some people don't forget about with Williams is that it was 521 career home runs, I believe, Ted.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
and he lost most of or all of at least 3 seasons in his prime.
4.5.
4.5.
Now, one of the halves was he broke his elbow in an all-star game.
Okay.
So that was half.
But how many years with just pure military service?
4. Or close to 4, essentially 4.
Wow.
I mean, so and like you just said, these were not at the end.
He wasn't 35, 36. This was, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 different, and a lot of guys went to World War II, but not too many ended up in Korea. And he got pulled up as a reservist into Korea.
Wow.
He got shot down in Korea, or shot up, and his plane got shot up in Korea, but he managed to land it. Wow. And apparently he got out of the plane screaming and cursing at it. The way the book is, somebody wrote in his book or some story about that he was just mad at the plane.
Mad at the plane.
That somehow it got shot.
Ted, by the way, we're going to get really off the topic. Yeah. But when you get your Apple TV to watch Ted Lasso, at the same time, watch Masters of the Air.
Is that the ABA thing?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Masters of the Air is World War II
Oh, okay.
fighter pilots.
Yeah.
Ted, the
Nuts.
loss
It's
rate that
nuts.
was so
Yeah.
they talked about it in World War II when the British and the Americans were bombing Germany, when the Luftwaffe was still very active and they
Right.
hadn't gotten rid of all of them. The Americans flew raids in the middle of the day so that they could hit their targets more accurately. But
Right.
that allowed the Luftwaffe to come up and basically knock them out of the sky. The British flew at night to save
Right.
their pilots and their planes, but who knows what they hit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
They didn't exactly have the radar detecting
No.
bombs back
No.
then.
No.
The bombardier was looking down through his
Right.
plane with
Right.
the little
Right.
thing and saying, "Okay, drop it
Yeah.
now." Incredible.
Yeah.
But Ted, so have you ever watched Band of Brothers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Masters of the Air is not quite as good as Band of Brothers, but it's really close.
All right.
Really close. And
Well,
Ted,
we'll
what's
see.
fascinating about it is one of the stars, and he's really good in it. You remember about 5 or 6 years ago, they did a movie about Elvis, and they had
Yeah.
his name
Right.
is
Right.
Austin
Yeah,
Butler.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought he was just sort of a good-looking guy, and but he was really good in Masters of the Air. So check it out. It's worth it, Ted. It's worth the money. Those two,
All
Ted
right.
Lasso and Masters of the Air,
All right.
worth it. All right.
All right.
All right, here we go, Ted. Let's talk about that. So, just for a little view inside the inner sanctum of the Grumpy Brothers podcast, after we finished our preview last week, Ted and I said, well, if we have a great game today, let's do a midweek, early week review of the game to talk about it. That idea was quickly nixed.
Yeah.
This game was over. I don't know the last time I've seen a football game that I knew was over at 9-0.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was 9-0, and the only way you felt that Seattle could lose was for them to screw it up,
Yeah.
turn it over 6 times or whatever. They would have had to allow New England into the game.
Yes. Or to your point that you always made, a punt return, something's crazy like that.
Yeah. Like
Ted,
what happened to New England in the second half when the defensive touchdown they scored where they sacked what's his name? Drake May, and the guy
yeah,
scooped up the ball and ran
yeah.
it,
If that had
which
been
would have
on the flip side, yeah,
right. If
yeah,
that had happened the other way, then now they're back in the game. Yeah.
yeah. Ted, I don't profess to be a football expert, but I do think I got this one right in that the secret of the game was the Patriots' offensive line was simply not good enough
Yeah,
against the
you were
Seahawks
right.
defensive line.
Yeah, you were right. They were just overmatched. I don't. I
And
mean, and they're really everybody seems to be focused on the one guy,
Will
but
Campbell, yeah,
and he had a bad day. I
yeah.
mean, and he said he had a bad. Everybody, but it wasn't like the rest of them were. That pass rush was coming from everywhere.
If Campbell had been the only weak link, they just keep a tight end on his side of the field, chip
Yeah,
whoever he's blocking, and they're productive. But
they had they had no answers for and Seattle was primarily just coming with 4.
okay, but now Ted, I will say this: I thought that in addition to the D line being better than the Patriots' offensive line, I also thought that Mike McDonald, the head coach of the Seahawks and the defensive coordinator, well, he doesn't; he calls the defensive plays. I think McDonald did a great job of every so often throwing in a blitz.
Yes, yeah,
There were 2 or 3 times they used that same blitz where Witherspoon, who I really like as a player, the cornerback, he's a good corner. He tackles well. He's a tough kid. I like Witherspoon a lot. But they ran that same blitz a couple times where they put like an outside, 2 guys rushing to the outside on the edge on the tackle, and then he came from
yes,
the
yeah, yeah,
slot
yeah, yeah.
in between the guard and the tackle,
Right.
and he timed it so perfectly, and he hit that gap at such the right timing that the Patriots. It's like at one point Collinsworth said, it's like the 3rd time they've run it and the Patriots still haven't figured out how to block it.
Right, right. Yeah, and they good at disguising it. Everything about it was really well done. They had a much better game plan. New England just didn't have any. I don't. I don't know what the answer would have been. Anyway, they may have been limited by personnel or
I will
whatever.
say this, Ted, it does make you think, how good are Stafford and McVay that they could play that same defense and figure out a game plan, and Stafford was good enough at deciphering what the Seahawks were going to do that he could be productive. May was, and the Seahawks did such a great job of coming after him so consistently that even when the few times he actually had time, May was so frazzled that he was making
Yeah.
bad decisions.
Missing, and he missed on a couple.
He missed a couple of throws, and he just you could tell he was completely discombobulated.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, but that's going to happen. He's 23. The other part of this is, I think, a lot of people were saying, kind of hinting at this, and now they're all, now all the experts after the game are saying the same thing, and we kind of talked about it too. Is New England got a bunch of breaks on their way in to the Super Bowl with playing teams with. In the Chargers case, their offensive line was so beat up. Houston's case, a game against Houston, CJ Stroud was god awful, and Houston didn't go to the backup. The Denver game, they're playing the backup, who was, not very good.
Backup for a reason.
Yeah, right. Backup for a reason. And so then they faced a team that was fully loaded and ready to go, and may have come out of the best division in the league, or one of the best divisions in the league. And the whole of New England's team was essentially overmatched. Their defense did as best it could to kind of keep it together, but I think they just sort of got overwhelmed as well.
I've heard some people saying, I think this might be true on radio, that Vrabel's game plan was the same as it was in the 3 previous playoff games. I'm going to play close to the vest, let my defense win the game, get a few mistakes from the other team, score just enough to win.
Yeah.
And he tried that game plan in this game, and his defense played well.
Played pretty well, yeah. I mean, they never really stopped them early, but they didn't give up the touchdowns.
Right.
Well, they would have given up touchdowns if the corner Gonzalez hadn't played so well. He broke up 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Or plays that could have been touchdowns. So it could have been worse. If he misses on those plays, it could have been worse. But yeah, they what was it, 12-0 before somebody Seattle scored a touchdown. So, but they had opportunities, but the defense for New England was far and away their best unit.
Okay, now Ted, let's move to a couple of things postseason Seahawks related.
Yeah.
Ted, here are some of their free agents that they have to make decisions on. Super Bowl MVP running back Kenneth Walker is a free agent. Their fantastic midseason pickup in Rashid Shaheed, the receiver kick returner. And Ted, his punt return in the regular season game against the Rams might have been the most important single play in the Seahawks run to the Super Bowl, because if he doesn't return that kick for a touchdown and they lose that game, the Rams are probably the number 1 seed, and you're playing the conference final game. And so they might not,
it's a very important play. Yeah.
Okay. So
as the rest of their season goes. Yeah.
Then on defense, you've got the edge rusher, Mafe, the cornerback, Josh Jobe, who I thought played really well in the Super Bowl, and a safety, Kobe Bryant. So they have 5, what I think are really significant pieces of their team that are all free agents. Now, because they have Darnold on a workable quarterback contract, they still have plenty of cap space. So they could make moves on these guys. And the other thing and everybody's giving flowers to John Schneider, the GM, and I think he deserves it. He's drafted incredibly well. He made the right decision bringing in Darnold. He made that great trade to bring in Shaheed. And the other thing I looked at, I thought, okay, let's say they sign all of these guys and they give them big contracts.
Yeah, right.
Well, let's say they sign 4 of the 5 guys, whatever. I looked at it, Ted. They have Cooper Kupp, Leonard Williams, and DeMarcus Lawrence, all older players,
right?
All on max of like 3-year contracts. So just about the time that the money for these new guys has to kick in, the money for these older guys is going to be going off the books.
And they'll have to replace those guys. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
And
Darnold's on a 3-year contract. So if they continue to play well, he might eventually say, okay, I want the $50 million deal.
well, yeah. I mean, I think if you're Seattle, your window is as long as Darnold's contract is, right?
The current contract.
With the current contract, because so you got 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Because his contract is workable, and you're going to have to sign some of these guys.
Yep.
You got 5. 3 is probably which 3. I mean, I would think the corner would be one.
Mm-hmm.
Edge rusher is another, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'd love to keep the running back. We'll see. So, and you're going to have draft picks, and you're going to have guys you cut. So, but I think the important thing is at the end of Darnold's contract, maybe they go back to another Super Bowl. But if they make the playoffs both years, he's going to want more money.
Right.
And do you then go, okay, we have to get somebody else in here at a workable number to, what I mean, kind of
So
get
Ted,
a younger player.
I think the comment that you made right at the beginning says exactly what the strategy should be. Your Super Bowl window is the next 2 years of Darnold's contract.
Right. Yeah.
So with that being the case, I sign as many of these guys as I can. You go for it.
Yeah. I mean,
load up the contracts at the front end of it. You've got cap space, and you go for it, because this is the time to do it. And hopefully you win one in the next 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can get 3. I think
those 5.
Yeah. Walker Walker could be hard because a lot of teams now are starting to revert back to using running backs much more frequently and keeping. So a team could look at him and go, we're going to give him more money than sort of the Saquon Barkley deal. We're going to give him more money than what we normally would give running backs. And then Seattle might go, well, we can get another running back, which would probably be a mistake because he's been really good for them. So,
yeah. Now, the other big part of the Seahawks Super Bowl window is the departure of offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak to take on the silver and black just win baby. He's the head coach of the Raiders. First of all, if you're a Raiders fan, do you like that? Do you like that signing?
I like it a lot more than Pete Carroll.
Yes, and if assuming, I think most people think it's about 95% certain they're going to take Mendoza.
Right.
So you pair him with a very good, young, offensively minded head coach who clearly knows how to coach up a quarterback, because he did. Darnold was very good last year with the Vikings, but I think he even got better this year with the Seahawks. So clearly Kubiak knows how to coach up a good young quarterback. So the other piece of the puzzle, and the Eagles are example A. With really good coordinators, they've made the Super Bowl.
Right.
Without really good coordinators, they've been
so much.
They've been kind of a mess.
Yeah. So have they hired a new offensive?
I don't think so.
coordinator?
I haven't seen if they've hired someone yet.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and a lot of times teams promote the quarterback coach or whoever the pass game coordinator, whoever it is, and make him the offensive coordinator. And it's kind of like the coordinator goes to head coach thing. Some guys are good at and so you have to find the right guy.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go outside the team because everybody likes to promote from within and everybody knows each other, but it's different to be the whole offensive coordinator.
And Colin Cowherd this year made a great point. I think he was very accurate. Last year, the Lions lost both of their coordinators, including Ben Johnson, and they hired from within for the offensive coordinator position. And by middle of the season, Dan Campbell was calling the plays.
Right.
Which I think Dan Campbell's a perfectly good coach, but I don't know that he's an offensive play calling savant.
Right.
And so, and the same thing, you look at the Eagles. With Kellen Moore, that offense was just purring, and then he leaves and they hire the same thing. They move up to Petula, and the offense is not quite the same. So that could be, it's interesting. we talk about the 5 free agents. The offensive coordinator position might be the most important decision of
Yes.
all of them.
Yeah. Because you're right. It could be that, you want, like I said, you want to hire from within. Everybody knows each other, but it's just not everybody is set up to be a coordinator, just like the coordinator for the whole side of the ball, and not everybody is set up to be a head coach. So
Yeah.
that could be a very tricky
Yeah.
hire, particularly if they decide to go outside the team.
But if they get the offensive coordinator hire correct and they sign at least 3 of these guys,
Yeah.
and I think I'm kind of with you. I think I'd prioritize Walker, Mafe, and Job, and
Yeah.
then find another safety and try and find another good guy, third receiver.
Well, you might, like you said, you might be able to just, if they work out the contracts the right way and
Might
everybody's happy, they might get to keep all of
4 of
them.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, let's move to baseball, Ted, and some free agent signings and some trades and some moves that have happened since we discussed the last time we discussed baseball moves. We discussed the combination of Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers and Bo Bichette to the Mets, and some interesting other moves have happened since then. And let's start with the Cubs signing Alex Bregman, third baseman, to a 5-year contract reported to be $175 million, no opt-outs, and a full no trade clause. Your thoughts on this deal?
Well, that's way too much for him at
Hmm.
this point in his career. To me. Now, the Cubs have a big hole at third base. Well, not a huge hole, but I mean, this is an upgrade at third base. But he's 30
He'll be 32 next season.
and has spent the better part, or has spent time on the disabled list each of the last 3 years.
Mm.
So, how many? You're probably not getting more than 130 games out of him, 140 maybe. And I can't imagine that level will go up as he gets older. And I understand what the Cubs are doing. He's been on a lot of good teams, winning teams, and they think they're right there, and they hope that he helps them get over the top. I get it, but I think it's too much. I thought it was too much money. Too much money, too many years.
Yeah, I was more bothered by the number of years. I think it's 1 to 2 years, too many years. But I think when you want someone, you have to make that step. Now, Ted, at the height of the Astros' dominance, there might not have been a better offensive player in baseball. In 2018 and 19, here is Bregman's combined stats for 2 seasons: 291, 72 homers, 215 RBIs, 227 runs scored, and my stat of runs produced. 26.5% of the time he came to the plate, he scored a run or produced a run. He was good with the Red Sox last year. Not great, good. And numbers were down his last couple years in Houston. Last 4 seasons, here's his average numbers,
Right.
Ted. 263, 23 homers, 82 RBIs, 85 runs scored, and a 17% runs produced percentage. Here's my question. How much of those dominant Houston years were because of what they were doing with sign stealing? How much of it was that park? And to your point, how much does he have left in the tank?
Yeah. Well, when you just run through that, the first thing you say is 2018, 2019, when they were doing all that sign stealing. Well, now his average is 30 points lower or thereabouts.
Yep.
He was playing in a park where it was either very warm or the roof was closed, so he didn't really have to play in inclement weather. There's a lot of inclement weather early and late in the year in Chicago. So that's what I think. I think too many years. And I think it was too much money given what he's done since the sign stealing scandal, how much his numbers have dropped off. Because prior to that, when you didn't know about it, you thought this guy's rolling his way to the Hall of Fame, 30 homers, 290 average, playing a position that doesn't have a lot of Hall of Famers in it. And he was a couple of times he played extended periods of times at short for them back then.
Well, I remember he played shortstop in college.
But Correa got hurt one time, and he played like 50 games at short and didn't miss a beat and everything. But if
gosh, Ted, go back and think about that Houston team with Bregman, Altuve, Correa, And who did they have in the outfield back then? Kyle Tucker for a little while, but
Yeah.
I mean, that was
That was a
pretty
good
good team.
team.
A
Pretty
good
good team.
team.
They had good pitching. They
Oh,
had.
and George Springer at the top of the lineup.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a good team, and it was enhanced by some of the other things that they were doing.
All right. Speaking of Astros, Ted, another former Astros player, the Tigers signed former Astros starter Framber Valdez to a 3-year, $115 million deal.
Well, they got the years right.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the whole thing with this is so odd or whatever, because at the time that they were, I didn't think that he was going to the Tigers. I don't know about anybody else. But I thought he was going to Baltimore, or there were a couple other teams. Obviously the Dodgers were always in the mix, but some people thought he was going to the Red Sox. And I guess, I mean, I don't know, $38.5 million. I guess. I mean, starting pitching gets a lot of money. I don't know if he's the highest paid starter.
I didn't look at that.
Yeah, but regardless, they had, at the same time, they were dealing with Skubal's arbitration, and the Tigers offered 19, right? 19 million, and the Skubal wanted 32, and naturally he got the 32. He probably could have asked for 45 and he would have gotten it because he just won 2 Cy Young awards. I think there must be a percentage increase that they can max out at or something. But I think it has something to do with how much the average of the position or something. I can't remember now, but there's a formula of some kind. So now they're paying $70 million for these two guys. It's a lot. It's a lot. But if you're the Tigers, and I wonder if the Tigers thought, okay, we're going to lose the Skubal arbitration, right?
Mm-hmm.
They knew that. They had to know that going in. Mm-hmm. So do they go, all right, we only have to pay him $32 million for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's a free agent. Mm-hmm. Unless we figure out a way to sign him. And they're not, I don't see them signing, So, and then you have a potential shortened season in 2027. You have to figure out what the salary cap and all that kind of stuff is going to look like. So at this point, if you're the Tigers, you go, well, let's sign this guy. Mm-hmm. Now we have the best, 2 of the 5 best starters, 10 best starters in baseball.
At least 2 of the top 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In baseball, and we're paying a lot of money, but our position players don't cost us very much. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only guy that they're paying as a position player is Javi Baez, right? Mm-hmm. The rest of them are much young. Less than young and much less than him. So I guess they figure, we can swing it for 1 year.
Yeah.
And if stuff falls apart, if everybody gets hurt and the thing doesn't go right, we can trade Skubal for something at the middle of the year if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But if he's not, if we look at the American League, we got shot.
Yeah.
Because so if you line up a short series with those 2, Casey Mize, Flaherty can be good. And now they signed Verlander to be their 5th starter, I guess. So if you get Verlander healthy and going and you get to the playoffs, that's a pretty good set of pitchers.
Now, Valdez is according to his resume, Valdez will be 32 next season.
Okay.
I say that in a way because the Latin players have a history of being, when they retire, they end up being 2 or 3 years older than they actually were. But if he's 32, the 3-year contract, to your point, the length is right. Ted, since becoming a full-time starter in 2022, in the last 4 seasons, Ted, he's made 121 starts.
That'll do it.
He's pitched 767 innings, so that's over 6 innings per start. In the current baseball, that's like Bob Gibson throwing 28 complete games in regular season, whatever he did 1 year, or Carlton or whatever. So in those time, he's 57 and 35, 3.22 ERA, and a 1.16 WHIP.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're going to give anybody that kind of money,
yes. Yeah, if that's what starting pitching costs, he's in the ballpark, right?
and you know, here's the other thing, Ted. I think that 38 and a half or whatever is clearly, if they had long-term contract discussions with Skubal,
Yeah.
that's probably the number they were offering to
Okay.
Skubal.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, Skubal didn't take it. Let's give it to this guy. And to your point, I think for 1 year they go for it. If it blows up midseason, you trade you get what you can get, and you move on.
Yeah. The other thing is, Valdez, it's a 3-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Skubal wanted 5 or 6 at 38.5 million. And I believe Skubal, I don't think Valdez, I'm not sure about Valdez because I never heard. But I think Skubal's already had Tommy John.
Oh.
So if that's the case, do you want to give him, after you've run him into the ground a little bit the last couple of years, do you want to give him 5 or 6 more years?
And I'll say this: Tarek Skubal's not coming out of the game before the 7th inning this coming season.
Yeah, if he's pitching well, yeah. The only reason to bring him out of games is essentially if you're way ahead, or
but if you're way ahead and the bullpen has, your big time pitchers have pitched each of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
It's your ball, Tarek. Finish it out.
Well, yeah.
You wanted the big money. Here it is.
And the other part, and we're going to protect Valdez because we got him for 2 more years. The other part of that becomes where it's either a big lead or they get, so far out in front of the division that they can afford to give him but yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's been working the last couple of years, but he's going to be working that if he can take the ball.
All right, let's finish with the Mets, Ted. And earlier this offseason, after in the same week when they lost their premier closer, Edwin Diaz, and their number 4 hitter and protector for Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, they lost both of them in a week. We basically said, where are the Mets going?
Yeah.
Right? Then, in part, one of the reasons we did not like what they were doing is they replaced Edwin Diaz, who's probably one of the best 2 or 3 closers in the sport.
Right.
They replaced him with Devin Williams, who failed miserably in that role in New York last year with the Yankees.
Yeah.
So that didn't look like
gave him a raise.
It didn't look like a very good decision. But then they signed Bichette, which I think we both liked.
And they signed the guy that played second base for the Mariners last year.
To play first base.
And he's going to play we'll see.
Because Simeon's going to play second.
Simeon's got to play second. Yeah. I'll be curious to see if the Polanco thing goes, not because he can't play it, but he's never played first base. So we'll see how that, they have other options, I think.
It reminds me, I'm going to keep on doing movie, or the movie Moneyball, when they're going to sign Hatteberg.
Yeah. Right.
And Billy Bean says, you're going to play first. And Hatteberg says, I've never played first. And Billy Bean says, don't worry about it. Tell him it's easy. Washington goes, it's very hard.
It's incredibly hard.
Incredibly hard.
I had that discussion personally. Remember when I played first base? I had that kind of discussion too. It was like, me first base, never. Mr. Spicer basically told me, you're playing first base or you're going to sit. Oh, okay, first base.
I'm playing first base. That works. That works for me. Okay, so after they signed Bichette, they then, in a very short order, trade for Freddie Peralta from the Brewers and Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox. Give me now, I like this deal for both of these deals in combination for the Mets, because while they gave up some top prospects, particularly in the Peralta deal, the only major leaguer that they traded was Acuna's younger brother, the middle infielder. Right. Now that they have Simeon, he's probably a little bit less important to their big picture plans.
At least in the short term, yeah.
Okay, so tell me your sort of big picture reaction to these trades as a combination, individually, however you want to look at them.
Okay, so Peralta has been a pretty good starter for the last couple of years, right? So assuming that he's unfazed by pitching in New York, it gives them a guy who should give them, 160 to 180 pretty good innings.
Okay, you want his numbers from the last? Okay, last 3 seasons, Ted, with the Brewers.
Right.
Another guy who makes his starts.
Yeah.
95 starts in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, can't argue
40
with
and
that.
25. The only thing I don't like him at, he only goes about 5.5 innings per start. I'd like to get another half an inning.
Yeah.
I want to get at least 6 out of someone like that. 3.40 ERA, 1.18 WHIP. He's not a number one.
No.
But he'd be about as good a number 2 as you'd want to find. Well, he's not as good as they don't have a number 1, and if they had a number 1, he's not as good as the combination of Valdez and Skubal.
No.
But he'd be at the top of the list of a really good number 2.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's the de facto number 1 at this point for the Mets. I think he might be. I don't think it's David Peterson. And
everybody likes this young kid McLean that pitched for them at the end of last year.
Yeah,
but I don't see him being the number day one starter.
They have several young guys that they want to work into that rotation this year. But like you said, he makes his starts. He keeps them in the ball game for the most part. So I think it was and he doesn't cost a ton of money right now. This is last year before
last year in the contract. Yep.
Yeah. So, I think it's to give up prospects for a guy like this, who was arguably the number 1 trade pitcher, right? That was out there. I think that's a wise move by the Mets. I really do. I think that they have improved their rotation because they have, even though he may not be what we view as, an ace at the top of the rotation, he's their best pitcher. He's better than anybody they got or had last year. So, and he's pitched in the playoffs. He's made some tough starts. I like everything about it. So for the Mets, I think he's a vast improvement over what they had.
Now, the move for Robert to play center field.
Well, if you can keep him on the field, that's the first thing. He seems to get, a lot of leg injuries and stuff like that. Always been kind of underachieving with the White Sox based on what everybody thought of him.
At one time, he was going to be the next superstar.
Right. He was Trout.
Right.
Another Mike Trout, big guy who can play center field, hit a lot of home runs, and he's never been that yet.
Okay, so Ted, he had 3 seasons, and I forgot to write down but there was a 3-year stretch, Ted, where he hit 287 with 63 homers and 179 RBI. He's got it in him.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but he has to play. That's to get those numbers. You usually have to play, a fair number of games, and he's always seemed to struggle being on the field. I think he's a pretty good outfielder.
Yeah.
So one of the things the Mets have been talking about with the Marcus Semien trading Nimmo was that they were trying to get better defensively.
Yep.
So I think he gives them a center fielder, a major league center fielder. So I think he makes them better in the field. And I don't know where he's slotted to hit, but there should be less pressure on him because they're not asking him to be. And maybe that was part of the thing in the White Sox is that, he's the guy. He's their he's their guy. And he's not, maybe he's just not, that's just not who he wants to be or can be. But maybe as a 6th hitter in the lineup, he may flourish,
Yeah.
I think it's a good trade. Staying on the field, and if he stays on the field enough, he should hit 20-something home runs. That'll be a vast improvement.
Okay. Ted, it's fascinating. You talk about night and day. So he had those 3 years, 287, 63, 179. The last 2 seasons, Ted, he's combined for 200. He's hitting 223, combined 28 homers, 88 RBIs, and just over 200 games. And Ted, in those last 2 seasons, in 210 games, he has 253 strikeouts.
Yeah. Well, but let's also look at where the White Sox have been the last 2 seasons. 2 years ago, they almost had the worst record in the history of baseball. So there's nobody around him, right? He's the guy. So he's the best player, and everybody's going to pitch to him like he's Barry Bonds, particularly in difficult, when there's a chance to score a run. Last year, they were a little better, but still, he was the guy that you shouldn't let beat you on that team. Right. So was he pressing? Was he hurt? What was the story? And I guess the Mets have figured out or believe that he needs a better lineup around him. He'll flourish and maybe he'll play, or he won't be playing injured or whatever. I mean, there may be a variety of things that we don't know about, but I think it's, as much as anything, it's just no good players around him.
Okay, so would we rate the Peralta trade as a B plus, maybe even an A for the
Yeah.
Mets? Okay.
Yeah.
The Robert trade is a C plus if he stays healthy.
Yeah, and it could be a B if
If he hits
stays healthy and
if he hits 250 and plays 140 games,
well,
that's a great trade.
Well, I mean, we don't know exactly, other than they didn't give up a ton for him.
They
gave
up
up their
Acuna.
better.
Acuna and a prospect, I think.
Yeah, and so, I mean, now if Acuna goes over and starts playing almost like his brother, that's gonna look a little worse. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why he couldn't hit 260, hit 22 home runs,
Yeah.
and play 100. And if he can stay on the field for 145 games and play a pretty good center fielder, that's a good trade.
It's interesting. The Mets have done some nice things since losing Diaz and Alonso, but of course, since it's the Mets, there has to be the wah 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 in that Francisco Lindor is now out for 6 weeks with a broken hamate bone in his left hand. And Ted,
but that's not going to it's not 6 weeks of the regular season.
No, it's not. But I heard somebody talk about this. I actually think it was Mad Dog was talking about it, that a caller called in and said there have been 3 or 4 issues recently of similar injuries.
Yeah, right.
And guys getting surgeries at the beginning of the year, and so they're not going to be ready to start spring training. And Mad Dog said, yeah, these professional athletes, they don't have to do rehabilitation rehab in the off season. They want their off season to be their off season. Sorry, when you're making $30 million a year.
Yeah. Well, the Hammett thing, that was, he had a elbow surgery, right? Lindor had elbow surgery.
Did he?
Okay. Oh, after the season ended. And that was, because he was supposed to play in this World Baseball thing.
Right.
And he's one of the guys that couldn't get insurance.
And
it was ostensibly for his elbow. Now, did he get hit in the hamate bone?
I don't know.
Or because that's usually an injury where you get hit, right here.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
working out
what
and got
caused
hit.
it.
Yeah. So if they were just working out and got hit by a pitch or ground ball or whatever, and broke, okay, it happens.
Yeah.
That could have happened in the middle of June, and it'd be a lot worse,
Yeah.
So if he can't play for 6 weeks, what are they actually losing? They're not.
Well, Bichette's going to play short. No,
but I mean, it's February.
Yeah,
6 weeks is the end of March. So even if he's not 100%, he can probably play. Let's say he can't play until the second week of April.
Yeah.
How many games are they,
He miss 10, 15 games. Yeah.
Yeah. If that. And I think most of those times that the 6 weeks means that in this case that he won't be back in the lineup. So if that means, maybe he can't play every day for a couple of weeks until he gets his legs figured out. But yeah, I don't see. I think was it Jackson Holiday for the Orioles has the same thing, and Corbin Carroll. If they're going to have those things happen now, because to me, I mean, yes, spring training does matter to some degree, but it's not like when we were growing up and they went down to spring training to get in to knock off the 25 pounds that they put on because they were selling tires.
Right. Exactly.
They're in shape. So.
Let's wrap the baseball and the Mets conversation with this, Ted. Taking the Mets off season as a whole.
Yeah.
Grade them. A is they've improved their team. They're a true World Series contender. F is, oh my gosh, they're going to struggle to be 500.
I think they're B.
Yeah.
I think they're a B. I think that I was having this discussion with somebody, and I'm not sure what the Braves are doing for pitching, but I just don't believe that the Mets. I think if the Mets, unless everything implodes, I don't see how they can't win the division.
So would you? We're not doing picks yet, but at this
No.
point, they would be your favorite in the NL. You'd put them
Oh
as a
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
over the Phillies.
Oh sure, yeah. We don't want to go down. This isn't the time for
Right.
that. But I mean, the Phillies have their own set of issues, and although they got rid of one of them,
Yeah.
um, d- but I mean, if you look at their roster, and I'm not sure I see World Series on that roster.
Interesting. So as a whole, the Mets have done a good job of.
I think the Mets have had a better offseason than the Phillies,
Interesting.
unless the subtraction
Addition
of
by subtraction with Castellanos.
yeah. I mean, if it was that bad,
Yeah.
then maybe, but it's still yeah. I still think the Mets are if they're going to win a division, I would think it would be this year if they can stay reasonably healthy.
Interesting.
Yeah, and now they're going to have one of the young guys. It's going to have to come through as a starter, at least one. And Devin Williams can't pitch like he did last year for the Yankees. And
Hey Ted, they've also got Luke Weaver now, so when Devin implodes, they can just flop roles like and make Luke Weaver the closer.
Well, there was a stretch when he wasn't bad either.
2 seasons ago with the Yankees, he was the closer, and he was functional. Not great. He wasn't Mariano, but he was functional.
Yeah, I mean, it not everybody. On one hand, closers are like, to me, if even on a bad team, is your closer good enough to get 25 saves out of 30? Is he that good? Is Luke Weaver, and then if you're on a good team, that's, 45 saves out of 55. That's pretty good, right? That's still a pretty good percentage.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
Let's go.
I mean, we all want Mariano, but
we don't all get we don't. Hey, as Mick Jagger says, we don't all get what we want.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you try real hard, you get what you need. So Ted, we have a Ted Lasso reference, we have a Masters of the Air, and we have a Mick Jagger reference.
That's
all while
good.
Doing fantastic sports analysis.
Yeah, and not to mention a home repair.
Home repair and fashion review.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't know what people are looking for, but
Ted, if that
a little bit of everything.
If that doesn't qualify us next year for a Golden Globe, I don't know what does.
I can't even imagine how. Well, probably since we're not going to pay to be on the list.
I would pay that. I don't know. I better shut up.
Do you have any idea what it is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's probably enough money that I couldn't do it, but
yeah, right.
We'll figure that. I think I would take a mortgage out if it does to get the publicity. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you to our fans for listening. Hoping you're enjoying these episodes. Please continue to follow us here in millions.co. Also, please check us out on all of our social media sites. We have a YouTube channel. We're also on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can email us at grumpybrothersports@gmail.com. And with that, we'll say goodnight, and we promise to do better next time.